Erev Tov Rabotai, we are continuing with our Mishna Yomi, Masechet Bava Metzia. We are up to Perek Bet Mishnah Vav. Today's Mishnayot should be Le'elu Nishmat, Neria ben Svetlana, Ranbai Eliyahu ben Burchai Israelov, Chana bat Miriam, Sason ben Ryan, Yoshua ben Shifra, Menuchatam began Eden, Amen. And Leavdi ben Chaim L'Chaim v'derefua Shenemav, Daniel Shalom ben Rosa, Betor Shach Ulei Israel, and Dachlama Merav, Binyamin, Or Tzion Chai ben Dvorah. The Mishnah discusses how long a person must announce finding a lost item. Vad matay chayav la'achriz, until when must the person who found a lost item announce that he found it? If someone announced that he found a lost item but no one came to claim it, how long must he continue to announce it? Ad kedesh yedu bo shchenav, until the neighbors who live in the area where the item was found know about it. Although it is possible that the item was lost by someone who was passing through this area and does not live here, the Torah required a person to announce his find only to the people who live in the area where it was found, because of the possibility that it belongs to one of them. Therefore, once all the residents in that area have heard the announcement, there is no need to continue announcing it. Div Rabbi Meir, these are the words of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yehuda says, Shalosh Regalim, he must announce it in Jerusalem during each of the 3 festivals of the year, Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot, when most Jews are in Jerusalem. According to Rabbi Yehuda, the Torah requires someone who finds a lost item to announce it to all of Israel. This is done by making an announcement in Jerusalem during the festivals of Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot, when all Jews are obligated to go to the temple to celebrate these festivals, as the Torah discusses in the book of Dvarim, chapter 16, verse 16. Although people sometimes miss going for 1 or 2 festivals, everyone is likely to come at least once a year. Therefore, the announcement must be made 3 festivals in a row. There was a special place in Jerusalem designated for announcing lost items, as the Talmud tells us in Metzia, page 28b. And he must then wait in Jerusalem after the final festival another 7 days, meaning after the 3rd festival in which he announces finding the item. The announcement made clear that this was the 3rd and last festival during which this item would be announced, as the Gemara says in Masechet Bava Metzia, page 28a, to give someone who heard the last announcement enough time to travel home for 3 days, check his belongings for missing items, travel back to Jerusalem for 3 days, and announce what he lost with the Siman for 1 day, so that he can get it back from the one who found it. He does not have to wait in Jerusalem an extra 7 days after the first 2 festivals, because the person who discovers that he lost something knows that he can wait until the next festival to reclaim his item, as the Gemara says in Bava Metzia, page 28a. Now, although there were parts of Eretz Yisrael that were more than 3-day journey from Jerusalem, the sages did not burden the finder to wait longer than 7 days after the festival. Today, when there is no temple, a finder need only announce the lost item in the synagogue of the community or among his friends and neighbors. And the Rav tells us regarding the Mishnah, the Halacha follows the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, but again, once the Bet Mikdash was destroyed, unfortunately, the rabbis made a rule that you make the announcement in the shul or in the study hall. And that is then of Mishnah Vav. Again, make the announcement of the lost item in the shul or study hall, or among his friends and neighbors. And that is then a Mishnah Vav. Someone who finds a lost item must make sure he is returning it to its true owner. Mishnah Zayin explains how he goes about doing this. Amar eta aveda velo amar simanea. If the person who claims he lost it said what the lost object was, but he did not say what its simanim are, lo yiteno, the finder should not give it to him. When a finder announces that he found something, he must specify what type of item it is. For example, if he found a shirt, he must announce that he found a shirt, and he may not simply say, I found a lost item. Obviously, if someone comes to him and says, I lost a shirt, the finder does not give it back to him, since the person was merely repeating what the finder announced. What the Mishnah means is that even if the person provided a general description of the shirt, for example, he specified its color, but he cannot provide a more specific siman, for example, its size, the finder should not give it to him. V'aramai, and if the claimant is known to be a dishonest person, even if he said what its simanim are, lo yiten lo, the finder should not give it to him, because we suspect that he may have had knowledge of his neighbor's item and is now using that information dishonestly. Shenemar ad rosh achicha oto, as the verse states in Dvarim, chapter 22, verse 2, and it shall be with you until your brother comes looking for it, and you shall return it to him. This is expounded to mean ad shetidrosh et achicha im ramai hu im eno ramai, do not return the item until you look into the nature of your brother to see whether he is a dishonest person or not. The Torah could have said, and he shall be with you, without adding until your brother comes looking for it. Obviously, you cannot give it to him until he comes for it. The verse is therefore expounded to mean that it is you, the finder, who must look into your brother, meaning the person who is claiming the lost item, before giving it back to him, as the Gemara says on page 27b in Masechet Bava Metzia. If he is an honest person and provides it simanim, return it to him. But if he is a dishonest person, even if he provides it simanim, do not return it to him. Such a person can get back his item only if he has witnesses who say that it is his. Now, someone who finds a lost item is obligated to take care of it until the owner comes for it. However, he does not have to lose money by taking care of it. Rather, the owner must reimburse him for any expenses. The Mishnah explains what should be done to prevent the expenses from consuming the value of the found object. Any found item that works and eats, for example, an ox or a donkey whose work is worth the cost of its care, should work to earn its keep and eat from what it produces. If someone found an ox or a donkey, he should hire them out and use the money to pay for their food. Similarly, if he found chickens that lay eggs, he should sell the eggs to pay for their food. He should not sell the items he found and return the money to the owner, because the owner would rather get back the animal he trained than have to buy a new one. He does not have to maintain these arrangements indefinitely. After a certain amount of time, depending on what the item is, he may sell it and hold the money for the owner. However, a found item that does not work but eats, for example, a rooster or a calf, which cannot earn their keep, in which case the finder would have to spend money to feed them, and they would not produce anything in return, yimacher, should be sold, and the money received in payment should be returned to the owner when he comes to claim the item. Shenemar v'ashevoto lo, as the verse states in Dvarim, chapter 22, verse 2, and you shall return it to him, which means, re'eh he'ach teshivenu lo, see how you can best return it to him without causing him a loss. If the expense of feeding the animal will cost as much as the animal is worth, the finder is not giving anything back to the owner when he comes to claim it, since the owner will have to reimburse the finder for his expenses. Indeed, even if the expenses add up to more than half of the animal's worth, the finder should sell the animal instead of feeding it, because returning an item that is worth less than half of its value is not considered returning it, as Rashi says on page 28b in Masechet Bava Metzia. Now, the Mishnah discusses what the finder may do with the money he receives from selling a lost item until the owner comes to claim it. What may be done with the money? Rabbi Talfon says the finder may use it for his own needs and then give his own money to the owner when he comes to claim what he lost. In exchange for the trouble of caring for the item and then selling it when caring for it became too expensive, the rabbis gave the finder permission to use the money for his own needs until the owner comes for it. Therefore, if the money was lost before you could return it, even if it was lost accidentally, the finder is responsible for it and he must pay the owner from his own money. Normally, someone who is caring for a lost object is not responsible for any accidents that happen to it while it is in his care. In our case, however, since the rabbis granted him the right to use the money received from selling the item, he is treated as a borrower, shoel, in regard to that money. A borrower must pay even for losses that could not have been prevented, onasim, as we will see bli neder in the later chapters. Rabbi Akiva Omer, lo yishtamesh ben. Rabbi Akiva says he may not use the money for his own needs. Lefikach im avdu eno chav b'chayutan. Therefore, if it was lost accidentally, he is not responsible for it. According to Rabbi Akiva, the rabbis did not give the finder the right to use the money received from selling the item he found. Therefore, the finder is no more responsible for the money than he was for the lost item itself. The law for someone who is caring for an item that he found is that he is treated either as a paid shomer or shomer sachar, who is responsible for loss and theft but not for accidents, or as an unpaid shomer chinam, who is responsible only for negligence. This is the subject of a dispute on the Gemara, page 29a and b in Bava Metzia. But according to both of these opinions, he is not responsible for accidents. And the Rav does tell us, V'alacha Rabbi Talfon b'damei aveda shemachar. The halacha follows the opinion of Rabbi Talfon regarding money of a lost item that you sold. Aval, the Rav adds, however, maot etzman shel aveda, if the lost item itself is money, kigon shematza maot bekis or shlosha mitbot zo agavzu. For example, you found money in a purse that has an identifying marker, lo yishtamesh b'hem klal, everyone agrees you may not use that money at all. And that is on about today's Mishna Yomi. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen v'amen.